Warning: the following video contains possible major spoilers for these titles and may also contain some random scary garbage. You've been warned. You are now fair game if you continue watching. Hello YouTube. Hello Psych students. Hello YouTube watching Psych students, and welcome to Your Emotions on Video Games. Now, we got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to be going a little bit fast, but first, we're going to stop and talk about what is not going to be covered in this video. Nowhere in this video are we going to discuss the hot button topic of whether video games make children more violent and turn them into psychotic killers. I have a very biased opinion on this topic, and it's outside of the parameters that I'm going to be covering. And if you have a problem with that, you can leave a complaint in the complaint box. Just know that I don't ever check it. Also, we are not going to cover every emotion in the human repertoire. There are 7 basic emotions alone, and we are going to cover 2 of them that are very prominent in video games today. And sorry guys, even though we love watching it on YouTube, we're not going to be covering anger or frustration when you lose a Mario or you die before you get your tactical nuke in Call of Duty. Now that we've gotten the ball rolling, let's dive right into the first topic. Media has been making us as humans cry for a very long time, from movies, new and old, to books, older than old. Video games, however, are still relatively new kids on the block compared to their other media brethren, but they add an extra thing to the table that appeals to your brain that no other media has done before them. Books just kinda told you how it is and left the rest up to your head. Movies took it a step further, adding sight and sound to the mix, pulling you in. Video games were the first to take all of it, throw it into a blender, and add a bit of control. Today, though, video games have matured enough to achieve that same gripping effect on our minds as movies and books. Take, for example, this scene from BioWare's Mass Effect 3, in which you see humans fleeing to a transport in an effort to flee the destructive Reaper aliens. Your character looks on the scene and notices a young boy afraid for his life, struggling to keep it together amidst all the chaos. Much to most viewers' relief, the child makes it onto the troop transport, and the troop transport manages to take flight. And then gets incinerated, along with another transport full of humans. Wow, BioWare! You guys feel that? That's empathy, from a video game! Empathy is the identification with and understanding of another's situation, feelings, and motives. With that in mind, we're going to take a look at another scenario from a video game. Now hold on, Gabe. What's this got to do with your head? Relax. First, what we feel, then how we feel it. All aboard the feels train. This next one's a doozy. In Telltale Games The Walking Dead, set in the same world as the pop culture phenomenon, you play as Lee Everett on a mission to escort a little girl named Clementine to her missing parents across the zombie-filled state. At the end of the first season, Clementine and Lee are trapped in a shack surrounded by walkers just after Clementine sees her parents have already turned. Seems safe, but the catch is that Lee is dying from a bite wound, so he handcuffs himself to a pipe and gives Clementine his gun. You are then forced to decide between having this little girl execute her only family figure left to avoid having him turn into a walker, or leave you behind, chained to a rusty pipe, to turn into a creature of disgust. Holy cow, here's a picture of a rabbit in an ugly Christmas sweater to get that out of your head. Now let's take a look at what was happening to your brain during these clips. Meet Dr. Paul J. Zak. Dr. Zak is a very accomplished scholar at very accomplished schools. He has a PhD in economics from the University of Pennsylvania and postdoctoral training in neuroimaging from Harvard. He is also an expert in the field of oxytocin. Okay, I know you're sitting there like, easy there, Spartacus. Slow down. What's oxytocin? Wait a second, hold up. Don't worry, I'm gonna cover that right now. There is a section of your brain known as the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is in charge of the secretion of two types of hormones. The first is the antidiuretic hormone, and the second is, yup, you guessed it, oxytocin. Through something called the pituitary stalk, the skinny part of the blue area shown, your hypothalamus sends oxytocin down to be injected right into your bloodstream. Oxytocin is sometimes called the love or bonding hormone, as it is responsible for things like pair bonding, social recognition, and making you feel good on your wedding night. What it is also known for is producing anxiety, and according to more recent studies that were pioneered by our main man, Dr. Zach, it increases feelings of empathy. But why should this affect us? It's just a game or movie or book, right? You're absolutely correct. The front of your brain, the cerebral cortex, is in charge of executive thought and planning, and it is the one telling you that it's just a game. But, according to an experiment by Dr. Zach and a student, your hypothalamus is the one that can't tell the difference, so it starts pumping away. So just remember, the next time you're questioning why you're crying over a movie or a video game character, just remember, you can tell the difference between reality and not reality, but your hypothalamus can't.
By telling her it was just a game. The girl was found shot once in the chest from point-blank range. The mother...
Oh, shit! What the... Scary video games are so popular that they receive their own genre, even complete with subgenres of different types of horror. What makes them so appealing? I myself have really only played one dedicated horror game, and quite honestly it was... I have no idea why people actively seek out adrenaline this way. I would much rather be in a batter's box or red zone, but what we're gonna learn is how game developers use psychology to scare the pants off their customers. Most things we would consider a predator of the human race are things that work best in the dark. So reasonably, a natural human fear is fear of darkness, a staple in every horror game ever. Inside your head, there is a piece of your brain called the amygdala. The amygdala is responsible for emotional responses and pumps out the hormones cortisol and epinephrine, aka adrenaline. Cortisol is what makes us feel stressed and activates our fight or flight mode because it is a primal instinct to be scared of the dark, and because our hypothalamus is empathizing with our characters. When we encounter darkness in a video game, the amygdala does its thing. Well, as it turns out, that's really the meat and potatoes of just about every scary game ever made. They play on the primal human instincts that our amygdalas have been trained to react to for our entire lives, like darkness, isolation, the unknown, and the good old-fashioned surprise. Hey, I'm just some nerd, thank you for watching, and go attack the day.